Let's go!
We got some pretty big reveals, at least from Digital Foundry, on the FF7 Rebirth on PC. And apparently it sucks, right? Apparently Rebirth on PC is not great, which is interesting because there has been several reports of folks that are saying, well, weirdly enough, it's okay for me. And weirdly enough, it's okay for me. And it's okay for me. And it's really bad for me. And oh my God, this sucks for me, you know? And I've noticed, at least on my end, you guys have seen the playthrough so far. It's been wonderful. It's been shockingly like we've had one crash and very little overall issues, even without some of the modifications and stuff like that. So it's like, what's going on? No. They're not just haters. This is not as black and white as paid review shills or people that are haters or people that want to hate it. No. The Digital Foundry review showed something, that it's not consistent. There is something about hardware and the scalability of that hardware in relation to FF7 Rebirth as a game that just isn't like across the board, this is how it's going to run. It really isn't. Because on their end, they were seeing crazy shit, that of which I've never seen before. And a lot of people are like, we've never seen that either. And for me personally, like on 120 FPS and the stuff that I've been running, it just has not been that bad. In fact, many of the issues that I've had have been extremely minor. So much so that it's like, okay, yeah, this is significantly better than the PS5 Pro version, right? But that reveals an issue with the game itself and an issue with kind of Square Enix as far as being a PC developer and the games that'll be coming out on PC in the future. It's more along the lines of they have to learn how to design for PC better. Like straight up, there was something in the game that also came kind of like in a compilation of tech with the very old version of Unreal they have. And if you change the DLL files, which are for like, what is it, direct storage or something like that, if you change it to the new stuff, apparently the game just runs way better most of the time, even on lower end hardware. And it's kind of crazy that it came out with those extremely old direct storage drivers. And then suddenly it's like, oh, it's running way better on many people's like rigs and stuff that are lower end. It's like, okay, so that kind of stuff is sort of the level of expertise and the engineering that'll have to get figured out for the future of not just Final Fantasy, but all Square Enix PC ports, because they're relatively new at this. Like, there's not that many different things compared to the PlayStation version. We're mostly getting like a better running PlayStation version of the game in most ways, right? We already knew that by just the way it looked. But yeah, like in the future, people kind of expect more out of PC versions. People expect more customization, more fidelity customization, all that kind of stuff. And again, for me personally, yeah, the PC version of Rebirth, and for many people with enough VRAM, it's amazing. It's like the visual fidelity of the game is just off the charts. It looks so good, dude. It's crazy. And with some very basic modifications, it looks insane. But that isn't the case for everybody. And a lot of people with lower end hardware and mixed match hardware, AMD hardware, it is not the same experience, dude. The game like is kind of like, it needs a lot to run. If you have that stuff to throw at it, it will be good. It will definitely help. But even some people I've seen like with 4080s and stuff and 13900Ks, they get a bunch of hiccups. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense. That actually doesn't make any sense. So there are things that need to be figured out, like straight up, for the future of PC releases, which is why it isn't overall glowing. Although I have to say, it's not as bad as Spider-Man 2 that just launched today. And apparently it's fucking abysmal. This entire situation of console games being ported over to PC has been a little iffy over the past few releases, especially from the PlayStation end. It's been a little weird. So I was kind of hoping to even buy Spider-Man 2, and I just want to see what that looks like. I just want to give that a shot. And apparently it's kind of odd right now. It definitely needs help. Returnal PC was great. No, it wasn't. I love Returnal. It was not, dude. That game was a stuttery mess when it came out. Frame pacing mess, and like to the point where and the game would catch up. No, dude. Maybe it's been fixed since then, but that's like arguing FF7 on PC was great. And it's like, no. With fixes, it was great. Returnal was the exact same way. It was a struggle, man. So here's the crazy part between all of these situations where we're seeing console games being ported to PC, the differences between them, yada, yada, yada. What's real is that the console alternative to these games, while not having the visual fidelity, it just doesn't have the pixel-to-pixel visual fidelity. And you just can't really expect that from console hardware But what consoles do offer most of the time, at least for first-party stuff, or at least stuff that's like exclusively on PlayStation, exclusively on Xbox most of the time, they're smooth. A lot of the issues that comes with the stuttering of those games is stability, and it's pretty consistent. Is the visuals of it consistent? No, the resolution's gonna be all over the place. You can't really change or customize that like for the majority of these games, but there is still a reason for console to exist like nowadays, just because of the consistency of the experience. And yeah, I get you guys. FF7 Rebirth on PS5 vanilla was not good. The performance mode of that game looked like it was running at like 720p or some shit. It was very smudgy. However, we have to give them credit. When that game came out, it was smooth as shit 60 FPS. Or if it was lowering a little bit, it would drop down to the 57, 58, but that was it. So they created an Unreal Engine 4 game on an ancient engine, right? Something that's like nearly 10 years old. And they were able to get straight 30, no hitching, and also even on not even PS5 Pro, regular PS5, 60 FPS, even though the visuals were obviously really fuzzy. The fact that that's even possible, it almost doesn't exist on Unreal Engine 4 games of that scale. And that's something that the Digital Foundry guys talked about. They said that this really hasn't been done on like UE4. It's crazy because they give the game its praises, where when this game is running good, there's no other Unreal Engine 4 game that runs this good. FF7 Rebirth is actually like the best performing UE4 game of that scale and size, because they all have these problems. The issue is that that's not the same experience for everybody on the PC. Most people will be running into those stutter problems here and there. Some people with higher end hardware, it just does it better. It's easier to run just in general. And yeah, like on the console version, at least you're getting a consistent experience. So it's like one or the other, you know? It's almost like not one is infinitely better than the other. The consoles we know, at least in FF7's case, that's a smooth ass game. And to be real, the PS5 Pro version with its obvious issues will absolutely look really goddamn good. If part 3 came out, that will be a smooth ass, great looking game on a PS5 Pro. If it only came out on PlayStation hardware, which I hope it doesn't. I hope that is not the case. But still, that will look good. The PS5 Pro version is definitely a reason to consider the game. It runs smoothly. The whole experience runs really smooth. So yes, you get crazy good visual fidelity on PC, but it's almost a coin toss on many games if it's gonna run good, if it's not gonna have these like hitching problems. And then you get the console version, which is clearly not going to have all of the bells and whistles, but is probably gonna be pretty smooth, you know, because they're designing around only so much hardware. Either way, this shit just is not solved yet. Not even just from the Japanese side of development, but also from the English side of development. UE4 games like giant EA games, you know, like the latest Star Wars, not Outlaws, but the one before it, the, what is it, Fallen Jedi, that kind of shit. Game had problems all the way till now. And a very similar game with very large scale zones of environments like Jedi Survivor, thank you. Yeah, that shit is rough, dude. Apparently it's still rough, and it's the same kind of engine doing the same kind of thing. And Unreal Engine 5 isn't exactly an answer for all of that either. It still has the same sort of weird issues here and there. It's almost like there's no direct answer for everything. But I can say, as much as my ass wants the PC version to be the definitive version of FF7, I can see why people would want to play a PS5 Pro version, because it is cheaper, right? You actually have to commit quite a bit into getting FF7 to look and run that good consistently. But the nice part is that, dude, by comparison to FF15's launch, to FF7 Remake's launch, to FF16's initial launch, I don't know if it's gotten better, FF7 Rebirth definitely is running better. It absolutely is running better. And at least there's hardware you can actually get it to function. And some people, even with some lower end hardware, have said that, hey, you know what? This is weird. Today I fired up the game and it's great, but yesterday when I played it, it was a weird stuttery mess. So there's some weird shit going on in the background. Like straight up, there is just some weird optimization shit going on in the background that either fans are gonna have to fix or Square Enix really needs to figure out. But the nice part is that at least it's like mostly playable. This weird shader comp stuff, you know?